Welcome to my Junior Artisans. Today we are going to do our first project for our spring break, and you'll have received a bag with a bunch of goodies in it. We will be making God's eyes, but what you will end up with, you have a little bag that looks like that. We have another bag, an interesting looking bag, that is going to end up being something that looks like this. And we also have a third bag in here with some stuffing and whatnot, and we're going to be making some monsters. So what you're going to need on top of what we have given you is you may need some scissors. You also might require a needle and thread, or as an alternative means of putting things together, we could also use a glue gun. We're going to be using a low temp, so we don't want anybody's fingers to get burnt. So we're going to get started with our first project, and that will be our bag number 1. Inside this bag, you will receive some yarn, some eyeballs, a piece of foam, and it happens to be white on one side and a color on the other. And the reason for that is it's ones that can peel apart and it's sticky on one side. So as you see, here's our other guy, and he happens to have orange hair instead, but they have the same color. So if you were going to put a sock on your foot, there's definitely a heel and toe to your sock. And when we use these, we're going to put them down like you would if you were going to wear your sock. So we have a heel and a toe, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, and I am going to trim off sort of curve line on one side, and I'm going to do the same on the other. And it's kind of like, oh, I think it needs a bit of a trim. Like that. And that's where we are going to actually put our little piece. So we're going to peel back that white piece of paper, and hopefully it'll all come off in one piece. Almost. So we have our sticky side, and we are just going to lay that right down and press it down. Now, the thing being that when I made my original piece, what I found is because you were going onto a fuzzy, not very flat surface, that the possibility of it peeling off was pretty good. So you may ask a grown-up, or if you are older and good with a needle and thread, I just did a few stitches around just to make sure that my foam was going to stay on. Another alternative would be if you have if you have a glue gun going, you may have find that there's some spots that you might want to add a little extra glue to it. But this is going to be our puppet's mouth. So when we put our hand in here, this is how our puppet is going to work. So that's where I found it would fall off, and that's why I did checked off the few minutes it was to actually stitch around. So I'm going to grab a nice piece of thread. And again, like I say, you may want an adult to do this for you, or maybe the adult would like to get a needle and thread ready for you and let you stitch. It doesn't have to be pretty. We just want to, you know, have the mouth stay on longer than. Of course, the trick is when you're stitching it, you don't want to be stitching it through to the other side. Otherwise, it's just going to be, you won't be able to put your hand in there, right? So we're just going to do it quickly, run it around. So you can do it by picking it up and you can feel that the bottom hasn't gone through. So remember not to, you don't want to poke yourself or anybody else when you're doing this. So you have to be very careful when you're using thread and the needle. Sometimes some of the thread won't go through, so you'll have to give them both a little tug till it evens out. You're going to sew all the way around. And here we are, right where we started from. And tie a knot at the end. So now our sticky mouth pad is going to stay. And this is where we are going to attach some eyeballs, and we've got our glue gun waiting for that. I guess if you don't have a glue gun at home, there's always a glue stick. But I'm just gonna place those on. And when it comes to the hair, all I did was I wrapped the yarn around my fingers. Until I got near the end, and then I kind of twisted it and tied it together as best as I could. We could do it one more time. And you could either leave it, or I suppose you could even cut it so they were all little hairs sticking out. I'm just going to cut off that extra edge so it doesn't look like it's too long. If you were inclined to, you could stitch this on, but since we have our hot glue gun out, we are just going to lay some glue in there. And remember that there is glue there, so you don't want to burn yourself. We're just going to press that in. Thanks for coming. Bye for now.